Okay, tell us your name.
Ruth Hutchins Presswood.
Yeah.
Yeah, used to be.
And how old are you now?
I am now 106 years old,
Okay.
and my mind is good.
Your mind is good. Praise God. And
it is very good.
and you're holding in your hand your book that you wrote. What is this the story of?
The story of my life in Borneo and the war years after.
What if I told you that there was a man that helped turn a tribe of headhunters into Christians overnight? This is William Ernest Presswood, a man who did just that.
So Ernie was a pioneering missionary to the interior of Borneo.
Ernie leaves and gets married to Laura Harmon around 1937. And she is only in the field 2 years before she dies of a miscarriage.
Ernie came back to the States, and while he was there, he met my grandmother and remarried. Ernie went back to the Lundaya Dayaks, and my grandmother Ruth joined him. There they ministered to the Lundaya Dayaks.
Ernie's whole assignment is changed from being in the interior at Long Barong, and he is now to become the head of the Bible school. And so Mom arrives on the field, and I believe within 6 months the Japanese had invaded.
The war stopped everything in its tracks. Ernie was sent to an internment camp, and my grandma was sent to a different internment camp for women.
The women were at Camp Healy and the men were at Peri Peri. So that was the way they were for 3.5 years. So Mom and Ernie were united again, and Ernie wanted to check on the Christians at Long Barong. And so they went up and spent about a month there. Ernie had to be back for another meeting and coming down the upset rapids.
And this really made Ernie's health deteriorate even more, and he ended up passing away. Grandma went back to the U.S. There she met one of the supporters of Ernie, Jimmy Hutchins, who would send building supplies to help him build his house and support his work there. They got married, and a while later my mom was born to them when my grandma was 39 years old. My grandma moved in when I was born, and she lived with my parents till her death in 2019 at the age of 108.
My name is Caleb Kukin, and me and my family got invited to celebrate the 91st anniversary of the gospel coming to the Krayan region of Indonesia, all because of pioneer missionaries like my great-grandmother Ruth Presswood Hutchins and her husband Ernie Presswood. We traveled through major cities, mangrove swamps, and jungle villages, all during our journey to what can only be described as heaven on earth.
So we just landed in Japan. So it was about a 14.5-hour flight. So now we have a 3-hour layover until our flight to Jakarta. So we're just all kind of relaxing. try to rest.
Jakarta, the capital of Indonesia, and our first stop on our journey around the country. With a population of over 10 million, Jakarta is the largest city in Indonesia. Even with such a large population, the city of Jakarta doesn't cover a lot of area, which leads to a lot of congestion and traffic on the roads. Despite some of its problems, the city contains a lot of beauty and history, like the National Monument of Indonesia. Standing 433 feet tall, the monument is a symbol of the Indonesians' fight for independence. Construction began in 1961, and in 1975 it was opened to the public to enjoy.
It's a very big city. Very busy. I wouldn't want to drive in it. And when you see their electrical system hanging from the telephone poles, you cannot believe the way they hang the wires. They're all over.
Chrissy Maxey picked us up from the airport when we arrived. She kind of took care of us. Made sure, we knew how to maneuver the city a little bit. Helped us get cabs, traveled with us to different places, different restaurants, just overall kind of just took care of us and made sure we were comfortable, and I felt like we could do it ourselves if we needed to.
We have been in and out of Jakarta for the last 6 or 7 years, and this is a base for lots of the missionaries coming through, so it's a good stop-off zone.
Chrissy helped us rent a little three-wheel taxi called a bajai. These little taxis originated in India but are now a popular mode of transportation as they are great for navigating the busy streets of Jakarta. They also make for a pretty fun experience. In Surabaya, we met up with Chrissy's husband Eric, who would become our missionary guide for the rest of our journey.
Hi, my name is Eric Maxey. I've been here in Indonesia with my wife and originally with our kids for 30 years with the Christian Missionary Alliance. We have been 25 years on the island of Java, working with one of the largest unreached people groups in the world, the Sundanese, and now we have just moved to the island of Borneo, where we are focusing on the new capital that is moving from Jakarta to East Kalimantan.
Eric took us on one of our first major adventures, as we are going to visit the grave sites of multiple pioneer missionaries, including Ernie Presswood.
So we got a chance to go to one of the cemeteries, which is controlled by the Netherlands. They have they call it an eternal lease on the land. It's where their soldiers and where their citizens are buried who died during the war, during different wars, but mostly World War II.
We actually recently found out that the bodies of some of our early martyrs had been moved from different places to Surabaya, where they are taken care of and maintained, those grave sites.
It's really great having Mr. Maxey with us to really give us the information we needed, the translating, all the background information, all the history.
Going up to the cemetery, the area was just very run down and homeless everywhere, laying over the graves. And then we get to this gate. And we're let into this gate, and it's a beautiful, clean, very organized cemetery.
So these are all the Dutch and foreign missionaries who died during World War II here in Indonesia.
Not only the director came to talk to us, the director of all 7 cemeteries that are Dutch also came. And I mean, you don't get that kind of treatment. I mean, that was fantastic.
This is the director of the Dutch cemetery.
Nice to meet you too.
And she let us know that we were the first Westerners to visit Ernie's grave.
My name is Evelien de Vink. I work as the director of the Netherlands War Graves Foundation in Indonesia. There are 7 war cemeteries here in Indonesia, all spread out over Java. And we're currently at Surabaya at Kembang Kuning War Cemetery, where Audrey is the manager of the war cemetery.
So I'm in charge to taking care of this area with my team, about 17 person. That is our job.
Some months we get a lot of relatives, some months we get a lot of university students, some months we get a lot of, let's say, heritage tourists. I think on average, is it 800 a month?
In average is 200, something like that.
200.
200, 250 visitors.
But this month is already different because there are 300 students from one of the universities coming to learn about history as well.
It was a really big honor that she would come just to see us. She kind of gave us some time to settle in and make sure we were ready to take the walk over to see the graves.
And when the war ended, the Presswoods chose to return to Borneo because they were so concerned for the Christians and wanted to know how they had fared during the war. So they came back to Borneo, and then, but they were very weak from the terrible treatment and diet and sickness of the war. And they had a mishap and overturned in the river, in the rapids. And then his health declined quickly and he passed away. And so he originally was buried in Tarakan, but then in the 60s or 70s was moved to Surabaya as well.
As we lay flower petals on Ernie's grave, we got to reflect on the life of a man who isn't necessarily related to us, but he is definitely a huge part of our family's story. Then, it was time to honor some of the other missionaries who gave their lives for the gospel.
John Wilfinger was one of the early workers in the North Borneo area, and when the war happened and the Japanese took control of Borneo, all the foreigners were asked to give themselves up, and he did, as to not endanger the Dayaks, the new Dayak believers there. And he was very soon after that then killed by the guards of where he was being held. There was also at that same cemetery the Sandy family. It was a husband and wife and their little baby. Their story is the same. They were all rounded up and taken to a Japanese garrison, and they also lost their lives there. And then Jackson was a pilot, and he had been doing some help. He had been helping the Dutch who were at war with the Japanese. And so when he was caught, the plane was burned and destroyed, and he then also was killed. For me, that was a moving experience to visit these graves and think about the sacrifice. Think about the sacrifice that these early workers made to be able to go into a very difficult and hostile area, preach the gospel, plant churches, disciple people. And Ruth Presswood wrote a book after returning back to America, No Sacrifice Too Great. And I think that sums it up, is they did not believe that even their lives mattered as much as getting the gospel to the ends of the earth.
Indonesia is known for its extensive network of mangrove forests. It is estimated that 23% of mangrove forests in the world reside in this country. And we got the opportunity to explore the wildlife found in these forests.
I think my grandchildren were more happy about the mangrove swamps. When we walked in, we didn't even get in the front door, and there was a snake.
I got out of the car, and there's a snake, and it landed on the ground right next to Grandma, and she started running away and screaming.
She let all of Tarakan know that it was coming.
I was over with the place before I even walked in.
We got to walk around the mangroves, and there was just lots of wildlife sort of just walking through the roots of the mangrove trees.
Mudskippers are a type of amphibious creature that can thrive in water, but love laying in the moist, muddy conditions these swamps have to offer. The swamps are also home to the monitor lizard. Monitor lizards can grow up to 9 feet long, but this one was only about a foot long. Fully grown monitor lizards are said to eat the local people's chickens.
So when we were walking through, we saw a rat probably about the size of a house cat or so. It was pretty big.
The best thing was seeing the proboscis monkey just walking through the mangroves, and that was really exciting to see that type of wildlife.
Much like orangutans, the proboscis or long-nosed monkey can only be found on the island of Borneo. Despite government attempts to protect these large primates, the long-nosed monkey is still endangered. There is an estimated 7,000 left in the entire world, meaning seeing one in the wild is a very rare feat. Because the proboscis monkey live along shorelines and swamps, they are known to be very prolific swimmers. Perhaps what they are most famous for is their long nose. The iconic nose is actually only found on male proboscis monkeys, meaning we got lucky getting a good look at a male proboscis monkey and his unique nose.
it was very unique to see. I'm just glad we were on top of like a little boardwalk, because there's all kinds of things that are living down in there.
What do you think, Jeff?
Mosquito bite. Next, we took a short little walk from the mangrove swamp over to the harbor.
We visited the harbor at Tarakan, and this was the harbor that many missionaries went through to get into the interior of Borneo. So we got to see some of these old boats that are still in use that Ernie and Ruth would have taken into the interior. We got to see the bougie people that live in this area, and my grandmother references these people in her book, and they are still part of the culture there. Their houses are just built sort of into the pier. They just keep continuing, and they just live right on the water.
To think that Mom and Ernie probably had been down at those wharves to get those boats so many times, it was just surreal.
So they would take a longboat or a small boat from that harbor up into the river system as far as they could go with all of their supplies, and then transfer to even smaller boats or end up carrying stuff through trails and over mountains.
The next day, it was finally time to fly to the Krayan, the main purpose of our trip. Our mode of transportation would be the Missionary Aviation Fellowship, as there were no roads to where we were going.
Yeah, so we got to MAF, we got to meet the pilots, Jeremy and Joel.
So my name is Jeremy Taves, and I'm currently the program director of the MAF program in Tarakan, Kalimantan, Indonesia. See, I started flight training in the summer of 2006, so I've been flying since then. My wife and I and our kids, we joined MAF in 2015. And we've been here in Indonesia for about 7 years. And yeah, flying here in Kalimantan specifically, it's extremely rewarding work. It's very exciting to be part of what we're doing here in Kalimantan. Our primary focus here is supporting the national church. So that was why MAF started a program here in Kalimantan in 1973, so exactly 50 years ago, because the national church here, they desperately needed logistic support just to transport their pastors to different areas of service, to transport their Bible school students, to support the Bible schools interior. And that was something that was just a burden, a challenge. It was holding them back because they're just, especially at the time, there weren't any roads. And even now, the roads that are there, that are here, are basically 4x4 trails.
On that journey, we got a chance to fly over Long Barong,
which is where Ernie had built a house and was the where he started his church and started his ministry. That was kind of like his outpost of where he went when he went to all these other villages.
and we got to see like the rapids we've heard about of them tipping over and things like that, which was really neat to see.
saw the airplane, and we saw tons of people with dresses and shirts that had Ernie and Ruth on them.
Actually had Ruth and Ernie Presswood shirts on. They had them made. So there was people with the shirts on. There were people that had made beautiful necklaces for us. And they greeted us so warmly. And from there, they just led us to the trucks that were going to take us into the village.
The trip will be 1 hour.
In the truck, I got to get Grandma's immediate reaction to our warm welcome.
A beautiful display of bright colored dresses on black, so the beading stood out, and the girls just looked so beautiful, and greeted by so many people, and so friendly, and this beautiful necklace. They gave each one of us a beautiful necklace. Feel very welcomed. One of the places I turned down to go was Long Brong because of the rapids that Ernie and Mom had gone on. And these roads were rapids and mud.
We just got to see the different landscape along the way, and we saw a lot of the rice paddies here. And then we made a stop at a place you wouldn't even think anything of, but it's where they make salt.
So there's some salt reservoir underneath the ground that this spring is salty. And so then they take the water from here. And they put it in here. So then they boil it. They boil it all day. So all the
What are pepper?
oh, dude.
Panas.
Good. Really salty. They take this salt all over and sell it.
Ini dijual ke Malaysia.
Malaysia buys it.
Okay, yeah, they have a certain brand that they use. Krayan Mountain Salt is the name of their brand. Yeah, they love our.
As we got closer to the village entrance, we had no idea what was waiting for us.
So we get out of the cars, and I mean, it's the crowd of people was tremendous. They were all, again, the drums were going, people were running up to us, shaking hands, taking pictures.
It just felt like chaos.
It was a bit chaotic. I wasn't exactly sure what was happening.
It was chaos.
A good chaos, but there was a banner welcoming us, and there were people everywhere. Then they guide us over to these chariots. I don't know what to even call them.
Chairs?
We got on these chariot things.
No, chairs.
Each of us was put into like a carriage that was carried on the shoulders of people.
Are you ready, Mom?
So this is each community is in charge of building one of these, and so.
Okay. Very nice.
So this is my ride.
Don't worry, it's safe.
Okay. This is absolutely insane. We're getting like a literal royal welcome. Yeah. Hello guys, how are you? Getting my picture taken. Here, come on out here.
Okay.
Hey, how are you? Thank you. Thanks for taking a picture with me. So I think they're about to lift us up on these things. We got Grandma back there. I mean, they have all of us on these little carriages, which they got like 6 guys, or like 10 guys carrying these things, and they're gonna carry us into the village. Dad's up, I'm going up. I'm going up! Oh my goodness! We got Grandma behind me. Here goes Naomi.
My first feeling was like, this is weird and we are not worthy of this. And then I realized, you know, they are honoring the messengers of the gospel that brought the good news to their people. And so they're not really honoring me or us, but they are showing their gratitude to God and to people like Wilfinger and Presswood and Ruth, and these are the ones that they are saying thank you. So we kind of got the extra credit blessing of being honored by them.
They actually carried us in, and it was a long walk. I mean, we were going down a hill, over a bridge, up a hill, and along the way everyone was just taking videos of us and waving, and the entire way in, and it was amazing. I mean, something like that will never happen again. So as we come in, they set us all down and just line us up. And we are then there for like front row seats of a show.
How was that experience, Jess?
What? We got out and shook hands with the entire village. They all lined up and we walked down the line.
After shaking hundreds of hands, we made our way to the pastor's house, where we would be staying our next 2 nights. After some more pictures and handshakes, we got to meet someone with a pretty incredible story. This is Tui, and he was a member of Ernie's church.
Yeah. She from Long Nuan.
Yeah. Oh, okay. We call it one.
Oh yeah, he knows Mr. Presswood.
Yes.
Yeah, he knows his face.
Tui is said to be the last living disciple of Ernie, and he was able to give Grandma some first-hand knowledge for a book she is writing about the missionaries of Borneo.
Of Mr. Presswood? Yeah.
Pictures?
Yeah, maybe.
So there's some information. You have pictures of the nationals and you don't know who they are lots of times. So when we went to the Krayan area, there were people that were related to these other people. So they were like gold to me. It's like, I can't get this information any other way. And they knew some of the people in the book, and there were some of the older people that were able to say, I know who that person is in that picture. And, you know, this was my father, and I felt like I knew who their father was. It was amazing.
Ada daya yang menteri di Sabah, ada menteri.
I was talking with Pastor Joni Eli, or Pendeta Joni Eli as they call him here. He's the Ketua Daerah GKII, which is the director of the area for the CMA Church here in the Krayan region. And he was just sharing about just the incredible impact of the gospel in this area, the depth of the darkness that the Lundaya lived in before the gospel was introduced, and how that contrasted with their lives after the gospel was introduced. So it was literally night and day. The villages were just continually at war with one another, just caught in this just endless cycle of revenge killings, and you just never knew what night a group from the neighboring village would be coming over to kill a bunch of people in your village. In the past, Borneo tribes from Borneo had a reputation of being headhunters, and the Lundaya were certainly a big part of that. They would go into these to neighboring villages, and they would literally kill people, cut off their heads. And then the gospel was introduced, and the Lord had gone before the missionaries, and just prepared the hearts of these people to receive the gospel, and they did. Almost immediately, when Ernie Presswood and Russell Diebler and John Wolfinger, the early CMA missionaries, when they first came in 1931, 1932, there was just an incredible movement of the Lundaya tribes to Christ. There are reports that 100% of the Lundaya came to Christ almost overnight.
After getting settled in, we took a walk around the village to see how the Lundaya lived.
Oh, this is kind of cool. They have stingless bees here, and they found this log. So now they're harvesting the honey from inside the log. A tenth of a liter is about $7 that he can sell. He can sell this honey.
Our next stop was a little sugarcane factory.
Okay, so the women in the group have this small business where they have the crusher, and then anybody who brings their stuff, 1 bucket of juice is 20,000 rupees, which is $1.25. So that's what they pay for the service of this. So he said one farmer will get about 30 buckets, and he said he bought this and the money's already come back. You're rajin, Pak. Saya bangga. Ya. Airnya bagus? Bagus. Tegenis. This lady's a go-getter. She runs this building. Awas!
Silakan. Baca yang boleh Dani.
Very sweet.
So 3 days a week they run this.
After that, we just got to admire the beauty of the village and its people. On our scenic walk, we came across their school, where the children get a good Christian education and a great view of the region. Next to the school was a small cemetery where some of the unsung heroes of the missionary stories in Indonesia were buried.
So, when Presswood and his wife were going from Longbarang to Malinaw, they were taking 13 students to a Bible school when they overturned, and one of them was this guy. He was in the boat with Presswood, and then he went on to school, came back, and pastored.
Oh my goodness.
And it just is moving to me that we write books and everything about the Americans, but here are faithful servants that nobody tells stories about.
We continued back to the house as it was almost time for the first service of the celebration.
The first night here, the service was held in the church building, and we had front row seats in couches at the very front of the building.
The services were long, yet church after church wanted to sing a song and express their gratitude and celebration. And so I never got sick of I never got tired of hearing people give praise to God.
It was so fantastic. I can't even imagine seeing anything better in heaven. Their voices were just beautiful and powerful. Just being blessed the whole time.
Ibu. Hai. Selamat malam.
But it's better for you
I'm
guys
so glad to be with you. Saya senang sekali ada dengan
I love her singing.
lagu-lagu kalian mengharukan.
Holy Spirit is welcome here.
Roh Kudus ada di tempat ini.
It was a night of introductions, like introducing who the speakers are going to be and what to look forward to at this conference. We were brought up and introduced. And then that's when they asked me to sing a song that my grandma used to sing to me when I was a little girl. And I cannot sing.
Saya bukan penyanyi katanya, tapi ini berasal dari neneknya Nyonya Presswood.
I was so surprised she did it, but it was very good.
I was proud of her for that. That was not an easy thing to do. I think she brought the house down with it. You know, people were so excited. I think they're still talking about it, how happy they were she did it. It's a connection that she has with them that her grandmother passed down to her.
The older generation knew this song because it was in their the older language spoken here, and they were so excited and joined in, and it was really a moment of just seeing generation passing on some traditions and these connections that growing up I didn't even know I had with these people.
Day 2 in the Krayan started off with another service, where we got to hear Pastor Justin Michael talk about his new book.
Juga keluarga dari Presswood from Amerika, welcome.
Dan saya sangat bersukacita.
I'm so grateful and happy
bahwa saya bisa mendapat kesempatan untuk bertemu dengan keluarga.
I'm so happy to be able to meet with your family.
Cita sekali karena hari ini bisa launching buku pertama saya.
Yeah, I'm full of joy today because I was able to launch my first book that I've written.
Dan dalam perkiraan saya sebelumnya, ini tidak akan mendapat sebuah sambutan yang baik seperti ini.
I did not expect this book to be received this way so well.
I born in Berlawit in
Yeah, so we got the opportunity to meet a woman whose father was a student of Ernie's, but also was involved in, when the war was going on, an American bomber crashed in Borneo, right in this area, and the airmen, a number of the airmen survived the crash, but they were being pursued by the Japanese, and most likely to be executed if found, because I believe that was the protocol for the Japanese at that point. So Lundaya protected them, including this woman's father, kept them safe, kept them hidden until they could be rescued and taken out. And what she had was a letter from a lieutenant, I believe, thanking whoever, I guess they didn't know who it was, but thanking them for protecting their guys and keeping them healthy and safe. And then he wrote a letter back explaining who he was to them, and so they wrote a second letter thanking him again and letting him know that everyone was still okay and doing well.
So you take care of that. That's right.
We decided to go out into the village again and see what else we could find. On our walk, we ran into Elias, who was in charge of preserving the Lundaya culture here.
Dan peran Bapak di sini.
Oke, dalam bahasa Indonesia ya, nanti diterang. Nama saya Elias Yesaya.
Yeah, my name is Elias Yesaya.
Ya, saya dari satu kampung namanya Terang Baru.
I'm from the village of Terang
Ya,
Baru.
tidak jauh dari Longbawan, hanya 30 menit jalan kaki.
It's 30-minute walk from Longbawan.
Ya, ada sebuah gunung. Jadi saya dari satu lembaga yang mengembangkan tradisi dan budaya.
Okay, he's from an organization that is encouraging the arts.
Namanya Forum Masyarakat Adat Dataran Tinggi Borneo. Ada Krayan dan Sabah Sarawak, lintas negara border.
Yeah, so it includes this Krayan area and also Sabah and Sarawak.
Jadi, melestarikan dan mendidik, melestarikan budaya dan tradisi lokal.
So our work is to preserve the art and to teach the young people
termasuk tadi pertanian organik dan terkait lingkungan. Makanya kami punya mitra WWF Indonesia.
Alright, so they also partner with World Wildlife Fund in conservation efforts.
During the final service of the celebration, Elias led an awesome cultural dance. Then, he let us try something crazy in the middle of the service.
Tunggu hitungan. Nah, ini boleh nih. Weh, salah yang matina. Beruang.
As the service and our time here came to an end, we got to finish out our journey singing the same song my great-grandma sang with the Lundaya Dayaks 80 years ago.
It was something I never even dreamed of. So it's just an amazing opportunity. It's like, how did I ever get blessed this much? And it's like, I didn't do anything. I said, yes, this is what God did.
The trip took all those stories from when I was a kid and made them real. We've heard these stories for years, but to actually see the people and all those connections we made was a joy.
I had the opportunity to sit with one of the older men from the Lundaya tribe, and we were just talking back and forth. He spoke English pretty well, and he told me a story of how, younger people in the tribe oftentimes will come up to him and ask, when are the next Presswood and when are the next Wolfinger coming to the village? Sort of meaning, who's going to come and spread the gospel even farther. And he said, I tell them, you're the next Wolfinger and you're the next Presswood, meaning that they need to carry the gospel farther. Ernie and John Wolfinger did their part. They gave their lives for the gospel, and now it's our turn, including all of us, to continue carrying it out to the ends of the earth.
I think it was a great experience to see what my great-grandmother went through and the people that she touched and how they're still affected to this day.
This trip was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It was quite the adventure, all the flights, all the travel, all the airports, the truck rides, the being carried through town. It's not really a trip like any other. So more than just a unique travel experience, it was a unique learning experience about a very powerful story.
There's power in the gospel. And I think that theme I heard over and over, that when the gospel came to the Krayan, it transformed their lives. It transformed their culture. It transformed everything about them.
Grandma would not have believed this would happen. I mean, it took her so long to get there. When she went, I mean, they were on boats and traveling through mountains. And for us, 91 years later, to just go and experience the people that she worked with, she would have been amazed. She would have loved it. And maybe she would have wanted to go.
Oh, I think she would have been just blown away. She wouldn't have wanted me to do it, to leave her while she was still living. But if she knew what I was doing and that the family was with me, she would just be over the top.
If no one had gone, why, they wouldn't know. Maybe find out some other way, but it was the privilege of our missionaries that they had to really go and be among them.
That was quite a group of people, all there serving in Indonesia.
Yes.
How was it that you could stay?
Well, it seemed like there was no other white missionary, and it was opportunity to give the gospel to them.
So you just felt you shouldn't leave?
No, I was there, and it was certainly hard to change places.
Yep.
And I stayed as long as I was able to. The Dayaks, they took care of me.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They call me Presswood. Of course, they couldn't sound the R. It was always Presswood.
Yeah. Yep. Presswood.
And what would you like Christians in Indonesia to know about your life?
Well, I'd like them to know that because I love Jesus, I wanted them to know about Jesus too, and that they come to know Jesus as their personal Savior.